different this time. I'm actually in the video, as you can see, and I will be actually talking about my record predictions instead of, just 3-minute video and music, because I wanted to get a little more interaction, and let me know if you guys like this format better than the other ones, or I will go back to the other ones if you guys don't like it as much. But I'm assuming most people will like interaction better than just 3-minute video and music. So let's get started here. So we're going to start first with the AFC West, and should not come as much of a surprise to you, but my number one team in the AFC West be the Kansas City Chiefs at a record of 14-3. Now the Chiefs, they have a kind of a difficult schedule, but I do have them winning a couple of key games against. I got my notes over here, so that's why I'm going to be looking over here. I have them winning a couple of key games against the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bengals. Then obviously their division, they got the Chargers, which is going to be a key win. I have them going 5-1 in their division and splitting with the Chargers. So they have, they'll give them. And then the key losses I have would be the Eagles and Bills. So 3 losses here: Eagles, Bills, and Chargers. So I think that's pretty realistic. I don't think the Broncos and Raiders catch a game from the Chiefs at all. That shouldn't be too difficult. Chiefs are just miles ahead of both those teams. So so that brings on to my second team in the AFC West, which is the Chargers, which should be expected as well. At a record of 11-6. Chargers, I think, are better than an 11-6 team, but just with the way their schedule goes, I think 11-6 is going to be the cap at what I have them at, because they got a tough schedule. I do have them winning a couple key games against the Cowboys and the Bills, as well as getting one win against the Chiefs. I have the Chargers going 4-2 in the division, splitting with the Chiefs, and then also splitting with the Broncos, and then sweeping the Raiders. Chargers have a tough schedule. I have them losing a few key games to the Ravens, the Jets, and the Vikings, as well as the Dolphins too. So they have a little bit tougher schedule. So I think they're a better team than 11-6, but with the tough schedule, 11-6 is their cap, which still pretty good record, honestly, especially for being a second best team in the division. Third in the division, I'd have the Denver Broncos. I mean, the AFC West is a pretty easy one to predict. I think the Broncos should be a lot better this year than last year. I have them at 9-8, which is very much improved from last year. Some people have the Broncos winning 10+ games. I just don't see that happening. I only have them winning 2 out of their 4 division games. I don't have them beating the Chargers. No, I don't have them beating the Chiefs at all. I have them splitting with the Raiders and the Chargers. So only getting 2-4 in the division. They do have a couple key wins here against the Vikings and the Browns, as well as the Chargers, obviously. So they have a couple of good wins there. But then they got a lot. They got a tough schedule too. They got a lot of losses against good teams like the Dolphins, the Jets, the Bills, the Lions, and the Vikings, as well as the Chargers and the Chiefs. That's already 7 losses right there against all good teams. So you might think the Broncos deserve to be better than 9-8, but just remember they do have a tough schedule, so it's going to be difficult to even get to 9-8. Then last in the division, obviously, will give us the Raiders at 6-11. I think 6 wins is pretty good for what the Raiders team looks like right now. I'm pretty sure this is more than they had last year, or the same. I'm not completely sure. They had 5 or 6 wins last year, I think. So I predict them to be around the same as they were last year. That's all I really got to say there. The Raiders, I have them winning some key, or one key win would be the Vikings, because they don't have a lot of talent on the roster, honestly, to win more games against better teams. I haven't beaten the Chargers and Broncos once, so they're going 2-4. Wait, no, actually they're only going 1-5 in the division. I don't have them beating the Chargers at all. They're splitting with the Broncos and getting swept by the Chiefs and Chargers. So the Raiders at 6-11, beating the Vikings, going 1-5 in the division, and then losing some key games to the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Lions. Let's see, anyone else good? Yeah. And the Vikings. Yeah. So they have I have them beating the Vikings. Sorry, my bad. I have them losing to the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Lions. Okay. As well as Chiefs twice and Chargers twice. That's already 8 losses against good teams. So, again, Like, you might think they're better than 6 and 11, but they have a tough schedule. So keep that in mind. Next gives us the AFC South. With AFC South, I'm pretty sure most people know that the Jaguars are going to win this division. Like, if anyone else wins the division, I will pay somebody $100. Like, it should be the easiest division win in a long time for any team in any division ever, honestly. The Jaguars are just miles ahead of anyone else in this division, and it's not even close. I have them winning 12-5, which you might think that is a little bit high. You just got to keep in mind that their division sucks. So they're getting 6 free wins in the division, right? That's already half their wins. I have them winning against the Bengals, another good team. And then after that, they don't play any other good teams that I have them beating. So they're going to get a lot of easy free wins. They have a couple tough games against the Chiefs, Niners, Bills, and the Ravens, which I have them losing all of those. The only tough game I have them winning is against the Bengals. And then, you know, that gets them to a 12-5 record because they have an easy schedule besides like 5 teams. And they're losing to all those teams. Next up gives me the Titans. I had a toss-up between the Titans and the next team you'll see on this list. I don't think either of them are very good. And I have them actually the same record, so they both are not good. I have the Titans getting a key win against the Bengals as well, honestly. And I have them going 2-4 in the division, splitting with the Colts and the Texans and getting 0 wins against the Jaguars, like I just said earlier. They have a kind of a toughish schedule, but not really because the division sucks. I have them losing a couple of games to like the Chargers, Dolphins, and Seahawks. You know, some tough games. And besides that, I don't think they have much talent either. So, and I'm not sure how much Ryan Tannehill is going to be starting. Because I think he was named the week 1 started. But I think Malik Willis and Will Levis both have a chance to start games in this season as well. So, I don't think they're going to be a very good team, is what I'm trying to say. After that, we got the Colts. Wait, no, the Texans. Sorry, my bad. The Texans next up, 5-12. So Texans, I have them getting a couple of key wins against the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Bucks. When their key wins are against teams as bad as the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Bucks, that just shows you how bad of a football team you are. Like, if those are the 3 wins that gets you to 5-12. You're not a good football team. Because the other 2 wins are the Titans and the Colts. So, the Texans are not a good football team. I have them going 2-4 in the division, splitting with the Titans and the Colts. And then I have them losing a couple key games to like Cincinnati, Baltimore, and the Jets. Texans are just not a good football team. Yeah. Like this last place in the division, the Indianapolis Colts. So I have them at 4-13. Again, I don't think they're a good team. I have them splitting with the Titans and Texans. Okay, so that's 2 wins. The other 2 wins I have them is the Saints and the Bucks. So again, if your key wins are the Saints and the Bucks, you're not a very good football team. So, and the Colts are not a very good football team. We don't even know when or if Jonathan Taylor is going to play this season. At least for the Colts. So that's also something to think about. I do have them losing a couple games against some good teams like the Bengals and the Ravens, but besides that, they don't really play any good teams, and they still only get 4 wins. So, just shows you how bad they are in my eyes. Next up, will give us the AFC North, which most of you can probably predict that I have the Bengals at number 1 in this division at 11-6. I also personally think that the Bengals are better than an 11-6 team, but they do have a lot of they do play a lot of good teams. So getting to 11-6 is, I would say, is an achievement for the Bengals considering their tough schedule. I've been winning games against the Bills, the Seahawks, and the Vikings. So those are already 3 good teams that I have them beating. I have them going 4-2 in their division because they do have a pretty good division. I have them splitting with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I have them sweeping Baltimore actually. Yeah, and then I have them losing a couple key games to like Kansas City, Jacksonville, and the 49ers. So that's, you can see that those are 3 tough teams you have to play to get them to 11-6. So after the Bengals, you can probably guess also I have the Ravens at 10-7. The Ravens, I think, are also a better team than 10-17, but just the way their schedule plays out, it's not going to work out very well. I have them getting key wins against the Chargers, the Jags, and the Dolphins. But I also only have them going 2-4 in their own division, splitting with Cleveland and Pittsburgh and getting swept by Cincinnati. Now they have some key losses on their schedule with Detroit, Seattle, San Francisco. So those are a couple of good teams that they have to play, as well as the division games they're losing. So I could see a world where the Ravens do end up being better than the Bengals this year. Just I don't personally see it happening, and that would also require Lamar to play 17 games, which is a bit of a stretch. So yeah, gives me the third on the list in the AFC North, which is the Cleveland Browns, which I could see them going like 10-7 at their ceiling probably, or like having 6 wins like last year. Like it could go either way. It all really depends on Deshaun Watson. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. I have them getting some key wins against the 49ers and the Seahawks. I have them going 3-3 in the division, splitting with every single other team. I have them losing a couple of key games against like Jacksonville and the Jets. But I think the Browns, their defense is good. I think Deshaun Watson will be better this year. I think Elijah Moore will help him out very well. But I just don't believe in this team enough to get past 9 wins. Last place in the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-8. I could see a world where the Steelers only win like 7 games, but come on, it's Mike Tomlin coaching this team, and he hasn't had a losing season in like a long time. So I think he's going to continue that streak this year at 9-8. I have them winning a couple key games against the Raiders, the Patriots, and the Texans. So their key wins are against the Raiders, the Patriots, and the Texans. That shows you how easy of a schedule they have. I don't think that the Steelers are a bad team. They just have an easy schedule. Well, at least half easy schedule to get them to 9-8. Okay. Then I have them going 3-3 in the division, splitting with everybody. Then I also have some key losses from their team, losing to the Niners, the Jags, and the Seahawks. So they have a tough schedule. Like half their schedule is tough and half their schedule is easy. So they're gonna win the easy games, lose the tough games, and then split the division games, and that's how you get them to 9-8. So that gives us to the last division, the AFC, which would be the AFC East, which I think this could be a toss-up between the Bills and the Jets, honestly, for 1 and 2. Spoiler alert, but I have the Bills number 1 at 11-6. I've been winning some key games against Jacksonville, Kansas City, and Dallas. So some good wins for them there. I have them splitting with the Patriots and the Jets for division, and I have them sweeping the Dolphins. I have them going 4-2 in the division. I have them getting some key losses to the Bengals, Eagles, and Chargers. They have a tough schedule. I think the Bills are better than 11-6 team, but they have a tough schedule with like the Bengals, Eagles, Chargers, Jags, Chiefs, and Cowboys. I have them winning 3 of those and losing 3 of those. I think that's pretty safe. Pretty safe bet there. Yeah, so next up, I have the Jets at 11-6. I could see the Jets winning the division. Obviously, they're tied for the lead anyways. It's just that I don't even know exactly what the tiebreaker comes down to, because I had both these teams at 11-6, splitting head-to-head and going 4-2 in the division. But according to NFL Playoff Predictor, the Bills had a tiebreaker. So don't ask me how, but yeah, they do. The Jets, I have them winning a key win against the Cowboys. They have an easier schedule than the Bills, I would say. I have them going 4-2 in the division, like I just said, splitting with the Bills and Dolphins, and sweeping the Patriots because the Patriots are bad. I have them losing a couple key games to like Kansas City and Philadelphia. I don't think that's too rash to say that. Yeah, so Jets 11-6 should be a playoff team with that. I have the Dolphins at 10-7. I'm having a couple key wins against the Chargers and the Eagles. I have them going 3-3 in the division. Going 2-0 versus the Patriots, splitting with the Jets, and going 0-2 versus the Bills. I could see the Dolphins win this division as well. This is one of the better divisions in football. I could see either of these 3 teams winning the division and going to the AFC Championship game at least. Maybe a Super Bowl, but I would say could easily see one of these 3 teams winning the division and making the AFC Championship game, which is something you cannot say about a lot of divisions in football. So the fact that the Dolphins are the 3rd best team in this division just shows how good this division is. Because I think all 3 of these teams could be a top 12 team in the league. Yeah, so I have the Dolphins winning key games against the Chargers and Eagles, and then losing some to like Kansas City, Dallas, and Baltimore. So yeah, that brings me to the last team in this division, which is the Patriots at 5-12. Patriots, obviously the worst team in this division. I don't like they're not going to win a lot of division games, which doesn't help. 5-12. I feel like the Patriots sound like on paper. I feel like the Patriots could be better than 5-12 team, but just the way the schedule plays out, then they're going to be struggling to get to 5 wins probably. Honestly, I've been winning games against like the Cowboys and the Giants. Not only have them going 1-5 in the division, splitting with the Bills, and then getting swept by the Jets and Dolphins. Then they have them losing a couple key games to like Kansas City, Philadelphia, and the Chargers. So they do have a couple of tough teams to play. So it's going to be hard for the Patriots this season. If you're a Patriots fan, good luck. That's all I got to say about that. Now we go to the NFC, which I'm going to start off with the NFC West, which you could probably guess that I have the 49ers, the number 1 team here in the NFC West. Hold up, I got to find 49ers in my notes. My notes got a little... Here we go. 49ers, 12-5. Win the division. I think the Niners are one of the best teams in football, clearly. I think the best defense in football, easily. Best offensive weapons in football, outside of quarterback, obviously. I have them winning key games against like the Cowboys, the Bengals, and the Ravens. I have them going 5-1 in the division, splitting only with Seattle, and then sweeping Rams and Cardinals. Rams and Cardinals are bad, okay. Yeah, I'm losing a couple key games to like Philadelphia, Minnesota, and Cleveland. So there's a world where they do better than 12-5. There's a world where they do worse than 12-5. It's going to really depend a lot on how good their quarterback situation is between Brock Purdy / Sam Darnold. But if Brock Purdy plays like he did last year, he was a serviceable starter that, won games. And if he does that again, I could see them going 12-5 easily. Next up gives me Seattle Seahawks at 10-7. Seahawks were good last year. I think they're going to keep it up this year. I don't think Geno's going to be quite as good as he was last year, but he does have more weapons this year with JSN as his wide receiver 3, which is a pretty darn good wide receiver 3. So I think he shouldn't really be hurting too much in form of weapons. So I'll have him obviously going 10-7. I have them getting a couple key wins against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I have them going 5-1 in their division as well, splitting with Niners and sweeping the Rams and Cardinals. Get a few easy wins there. I have them losing quite a bit of games against good teams like Detroit, Cincinnati, Dallas, and Philadelphia. So they do have a couple tough games in the schedule, and I don't really see them winning many of those. But with how easy the division is, they get 4 free wins basically, which helps them a lot to push them to 10-7. Next up in the division, I will have the Rams at 5-12. Now the Rams could be better than 5-12, but they have 3 players on their team. Basically, it's Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald. Those are the 3 players. Everyone else is bum. Everyone else is buns. They're just not good outside of those 3 players. And you have to question whether Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford are going to be healthy the whole season. Cooper Kupp's already having problems. Matthew Stafford had problems last year, so it's going to be a tough season for the Rams again like last year, but they're not the worst team in the division, so that's something, right? I have them winning key games against Cleveland and the Giants. I have them winning, going 1-5 in division games, splitting with Arizona, and then getting swept by the Niners and Seahawks. Then I have them losing a couple of games against good teams like Cincinnati, Dallas, and Baltimore. I just don't think they have enough talent to actually beat a good team, basically. So next up, obviously, it's going to be the Cardinals, and I have them not 1-16. I was really debating having the Cardinals go 0-17 just because they are really not good at all this year. If Kyler Murray came back in the middle of the season like he probably could, they could win a couple more games. But I don't think there's any reason for him to actually want to return or for the team to want him to return. Because I think that they're going to tank, get the number 1 pick, draft Caleb Williams, and then Kyler Murray is going to be traded. So there's no incentive for him to actually play because the team doesn't want him. And there's no incentive for the team to want him to play because the team's going to want the number 1 pick. So I have them winning their 1 game against the Rams. That's the only game they're winning all season is against the Rams. 1-5 in the division, splitting with the Rams, right? They do play some good teams like the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Eagles. obviously have them losing all those games because you're not winning games with Joshua Dobbs as your quarterback or Clayton Thune. It's just not happening. So that brings us to the next division here, which is the NFC South, which is the number one team that I have in the NFC South is the Atlanta Falcons at 9-8. This is one of the more mid divisions in football, as we saw last year, and year before that, and you get the point. This division, they don't suck. They're not the AFC South, which is just trash, and then the Jags, but it's just a mid division. All these teams are just mid. I have the Falcons at 9-8. Key wins against the Vikings. That's their only key win, so it shows you how easy their schedule is to go 9-8 with only one good win against a good team. I have them going 4-2 in the division, splitting with the Saints and the Bucks. Then have them getting some key losses against like the Lions, the Jags, and the Jets. So that brings me next to the second team of the NFC South, which is the Saints at 8-9. I could see the Saints winning like 10 games if Derek Carr, Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara all play like they can, but especially Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, they struggled last year to even play. So, and Alvin Kamara might have some legal issues this season. So like, it's gonna be I could see them going 10-7 or something, but I'm just gonna stick it safe and have them at 8-9 just because they did not do very good last year, and this is still an improvement from last year. So 8-9. I have them winning a couple key games against like the Jaguars and Lions. I only have them winning 2 division games, so they're gonna split with the Falcons and the Bucks and get swept by the Panthers in the division. Kind of sad. I have them losing a couple key games against like the Vikings and the Giants. 8-9. Panthers 7-10. Panthers are good. Like they were good last year with like they were 7-10 last year. I'm not saying they were good, but they're like solid, at least, like decent last year. Okay, a decent bad team. Like, you know, the Panthers are not a good team, but you know they're not a horrible team. They're a decent bad team, right? Last year they were 7-10, I think, with Baker Mayfield / PJ Walker at quarterback. Now they have Bryce Young, right? So that should at least be an improvement, I would think, right? So I think with Bryce Young, they're gonna go 7-10 again, like last year. Get some key wins over the Dolphins and the Bears. Go 3-3 in the division. They're getting swept by the Falcons, but then they go sweep the Saints and split with the Bucks. Then I do have them having some key losses against like Seattle, Minnesota, Detroit, and Jacksonville. I just don't think Bryce Young is able to lead his team to wins against very good teams. Like, because he's just a rookie, right? So the last in the division, as you can tell, is the Buccaneers, which I have them at 4-13. They're not a good team. Baker Mayfield's not a good quarterback. Their defense is not good. Their line is not, like, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are good players. I could see both of them being traded in the season by the trade deadline because their team's not good and they are good, so, you know, might as well get something out of them, right? So I have them getting one key win against the Titans, who are also not a good team. Then I have them winning 3 games in the division, splitting with everybody. So, and then, yeah, key losses to good teams like the Eagles, the Niners, the Jags, the Bills, and the Vikings. Like, they do play some tough teams outside of the division, but they're just not good enough to win any of those games, in my opinion. So, 4-13 is where I have them at. So, sorry, Bucs fans. Next up is the NFC North. So, in the NFC North, the number 1 team I have is the Minnesota Vikings at 10-7. I think they could be better than 10-7. Like last year, they were like 13-4, right? But I don't think they're gonna win all those 1-score games like they did last year, right? I do have them getting some key wins over Philadelphia, the Chargers, and the Niners, which is pretty good in my opinion. I have them going 4-2 in the division, splitting with the Lions and the Packers and sweeping the Bears, right? I have them having a couple key losses against Kansas City and Cincinnati. So they do have a tough schedule, honestly. But 10-7 is pretty good for them, I would say. Number 2 in the division, I have the Lions, also at 10-7. I could see the Lions winning the division, but again, like this is the same thing with the Bills and the Jets. They're both 10-7. They both split with each other. They both are 4-2 in their division. I just don't exactly understand how the Vikings get the tiebreaker here, but they do. The Lions have key wins against Seattle and the Ravens, right? That's what I have. I have them going 4-2 in the division, right? Like I just said, splitting with Minnesota and Chicago, and then sweeping Green Bay. They do have a couple hard games that I'm gonna have them losing against, like the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys. So yeah, that gives the Lions at 10-7. Then the Bears I have at third in the division at 8-9. I think the Bears are gonna be solid this year. This is gonna be definitely a very big step forward from last year, which should be expected. Yeah, so 8-9, I think is pretty good. I'm having key wins against the Falcons. That's their key win. So they do have a fairly easy schedule. They're like, I would say a middle of the road schedule. Half the games are easy, half the games are hard, and they win the easy ones and lose the hard ones. Like I said earlier with I forgot what team that was, but yeah. So I have them going 2-4 in the division, splitting with the Lions and Packers, and then getting swept by the Vikings. They have some key losses against like the Chiefs and the Chargers. So yeah, they have a fairly like mid schedule. They're gonna win a couple games, lose a couple games. That's all I gotta say about that. But 8-9 is a good step forward for Bears fans, especially if Justin Fields does take a big step forward like he is projected to do, right? That's the big key here. So fourth in the division is the Green Bay Packers at 7-10. So I believe this is like the first time the Packers are going to be the last place in the division in a long time. So new territory for Packers fans, but honestly, 7-10 for this season, I would take it as Packers fans because it's your first year with Jordan Love as quarterback. As long as he shows promise this season, then you have a lot of hope for next season, right? I'm having a couple key wins against Pittsburgh and Denver. I only have them winning 2 games in the division, splitting with the Vikings and Bears, and getting swept by the Lions. And they have a couple hard games that I have them losing, like the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Giants. So 7-10, I would say, is pretty solid for the Packers for this season, as long as Jordan Love plays good this season. So the last division we have here is the NFC East. So for the NFC East, you can all probably guess that I have the Eagles at the 1 seed, right? At 12-5, which I think 12-5 is a pretty good record. Their over-under on DraftKings is 11.5, I believe. So taking the over on that leniently, like I'm not smashing the over. I'm just cautiously taking that over. But I have them getting some key wins against the Jets, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Niners. It's already some tough teams right there. But I have them beating all 4 of those guys. I have them only winning 3 games in the division, splitting with every single team in the division, which I think is very possible because this division, I believe, is the best division in football. I would say better than the AFC East, yeah, and the AFC North for that matter too. I think the NFC East is the best division in football. So I have them losing some key games to Miami and Minnesota. So Miami, Minnesota, and then 3 division teams. That's their 5 losses right there. But they have good wins against the Chiefs, Bills, and Niners, who are top 5 teams in the league. At least last year they were. So that's really good, I would say. So next up, I had the Cowboys at 10-7. 10-7 is a little bit of a step back from last year. I know Cowboys fans are going to be upset. They're like, we got Brandon Cooks and we got Stephon Gilmore. How are we worse than last year? It's because you're the Cowboys. It's basically because Dak Prescott's your quarterback and Mike McCarthy is your freaking head coach. So like, you're not winning 12 games this year. I'm sorry, you're just not. Have you winning games against like Seattle, Miami, and Detroit, and going 4-2 in the division, splitting with Philadelphia, and the Giants, and then sweeping the Commanders. So you do have a better division record than the Eagles. So that's something, right? Yay. But I think Dak Prescott will probably throw close to 15 to 20 interceptions this season. You got to get that under control if you want to actually win a division. So you have some key losses again to like the Niners, Chargers, and Bills. So definitely some tough teams on our schedule. So saying you're going 10-7 isn't like, shouldn't be that, like, you shouldn't be that mad at me for saying you're only going to win 10 games because you do have kind of a tough schedule. Next up on the list is the New York Giants at 9-8. I believe they went 9-8 last year. They might have went 10-7. Not 100% sure. But I would say 9. I would say they're going to be about the same team as they were last year. Obviously, they have like Darren Waller and stuff. But I just think that a lot of other teams in the league have also gotten better this offseason. And the Giants don't really have a particularly favorable schedule sometimes. They have key wins against Seattle and New York Jets. I have them going 3-3 in the division, splitting with everybody. And then you have some hard losses against like San Francisco, Buffalo, and Miami. So you have tough teams to play, right? So yeah, I've got 9-8. I think that's pretty solid for Giants fans. Yeah. So next up, so the last team we're covering here. You got the Washington Commanders at 8-9. So I do think that Sam Howell is going to be good this year. I know some people think he's going to be bad, like the worst quarterback in the league. I was reading the Score app, their rankings for every quarterback, and they have Sam Howell at 32 on that list. I don't agree with that whatsoever. You'll see a quarterback ranking later this week, or maybe you've already seen it. I'm not completely sure when I'm going to upload each video, but you're going to see a quarterback ranking. And Sam Howell is not number 32 on that list, is all I'm going to say. So as for the Commanders, after having a couple of key wins against the Jets and the 49ers, that's going to be a surprising win when the Commanders beat the 49ers. But, they usually beat really good teams for no reason, so probably see that again. I have them going 2-4 in the division, splitting with the Eagles and Giants and getting swept by Dallas. Just because, right? They're going to probably beat the Eagles. They did it last year, and, the Commanders, like I said, they beat good teams for no reason. Having a couple key losses against, like, Buffalo, Seattle, and Miami. So, like, they do have a kind of tough schedule, especially with the division. So, if they were in the NFC South, they'd probably win that division easily. So, Commanders fans, don't be too mad at me, because being last place in this division is literally one game away from being first place in the NFC South. So, like, you're really not that bad of a team still. 8-9 is pretty good. So next we're going to look at our playoff picture. First, for the AFC, we got the Chiefs at the 1 seed at 14-3, right? That should be pretty obvious. The Chiefs are the best team in football, in most people's eyes, and their schedule is favorable too. Number 2 is the Jags at 12-5. I do not think the Jags are the second best team in the AFC. It's just that they have a very easy schedule and a very easy division, which gives them 6 free wins. So that helps boost their record a lot. Because number 3 seed is the Bengals at 11-6, which I would say are better than the Jags, even though they have a worse record. Number 4 team here is Buffalo Bills, also at 11-6, who I would also say are better than the Jaguars, despite having a worse record. So now we're going to get into our wildcard teams. We're going to see right here that we have the New York Jets at 11-6. So the Jets and Bills are going to get to play each other in the first round for a third time this season, so that should be fun for those fans. The 6th seed, we're going to be seeing another 11-6 team with the Los Angeles Chargers. So there's a lot of talent in the AFC. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC. As you will see, there are going to be teams with 10 wins. Because we already have the Ravens and the Dolphins with 10 wins. Only one of them can make the playoffs. So that's something to think about in the AFC playoff picture here. At number 7 is the Baltimore Ravens. So sorry to the Miami Dolphins, who won 10 games. You guys will not be making the playoffs this year. It's kind of tough because, there's not a lot you can do. You think you get the 10 wins, your automatic wild card spot, right? But just the way this AFC is so stacked, I don't see it happening. So tough blow, but yeah. Now to the NFC, we have number 1 seed overall, the Philadelphia Eagles at 12-5. They were the number 1 seed last year, 12-5. Seems like a pretty solid record. Puts them at the 1 seed again this year. Tied record with the San Francisco 49ers, but I do believe they had a head-to-head matchup, and I had the Eagles winning this season, so that's how they got the tiebreaker there. Number 3, we're going to be seeing the Minnesota Vikings at 10-7. They were tied with the Lions for division, so getting to be 10-7 and being the 3rd seed is pretty good compared to the Miami Dolphins, who are 10-7, and not in the playoffs in the AFC. So just shows you the AFC is way much better than the NFC. Number 4 seed here, the Falcons at 9-8. So they are going to be having a worse record than these wild card teams. Just because our division's bad, so they get a free pass there, basically. The 5 seed here, we do got the Dallas Cowboys at 10-7, followed by the Detroit Lions at 10-7. So I believe there is only one other 10-7 team in the NFC, which is the Seattle Seahawks, also at 10-7. So I believe 5 of these teams from the NFC are returning playoff teams from last year. Eagles, Niners, Vikings, Cowboys, and Seahawks. Or Seahawks made the playoffs last year, right? I think I'm not just tripping. So that's pretty solid. Of course, the Falcons are new here, and the Lions are new here. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be a fun playoff, fun NFL season this year, and the way that these playoff pictures are rounding out, the last few weeks of the season should be very hectic, filled with a lot of enjoyment by any fan of any team, because a lot of these teams are going to be fighting for playoff spots, even though they don't make the playoffs, right? So, with that is done with my video. Let me know if you like this new format of recording my video. Right now, I'm in my car, using the college Wi-Fi, using my car light as my camera light. I don't have any microphone or anything, so just my voice on my computer audio. So if it doesn't sound good, doesn't look good, please let me know, and I will either try to make a more professional recording studio, or I will just go back to my old style of video, because at least that was that was working, right? It was at least visually appealing, because there was nothing to see visually, basically. And there was one constant sound instead of, my sound in a computer speaker. So hopefully this works for you. If it doesn't, let me know, and I will do my best to figure out steps for the future. Thank you for watching. Make sure to watch all my other videos that I have posted this week. There's going to be a lot of them.